join us to discuss about ethical leadership. Now, let's see a show of hands who thinks ethics in leadership is important. A show of hands of who thinks ethics in leadership is important. Okay, maybe in your heart, but you wouldn't admit it, right? Now, imagine in a world where there is no ethics in leadership, it will be a chaos. So, in Toastmasters, we always talk about respect and integrity in leadership, and part of it also the ethics in leading the whole organization. And in Toastmasters, we also have our whole protocol and ethics document to guide the overall organization. Okay? And not only that, in the private sector, the non-Toastmaster setting, the company will have the company's constitution, the country will have the country's constitution to guide for ethics. But a lot of times also, we have to develop our own personal ethical leadership framework, because a lot of situations you can't find the solution in maybe the constitution. So tonight we are going to share some insights to discuss and also to get to listen from all the panelists all about ethical leadership. Okay. With that, I will invite the panelists. First of all, we have Toastmaster Sriniwas. Next, we have distinguished Toastmaster Ricky. And we have Toastmaster Brian. Okay. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me at the panel discussion. Okay. So, before we begin, let us do a bit of an introduction, because some of them might not know all of you. Okay, so first of all, we have distinguished Toastmaster Sri. Toastmaster Sri is part of the John Maxwell coaching, is it the foundation?
Certified team.
Yeah, team. Okay, so and he also has contributed much in our organization, which is Toastmasters International. He has been a club coach of many clubs, and also the past the district director in
2021
and 2022, back before I joined. Yeah. Okay. Then next we have distinguished Toastmaster Ricky. He is very much into AI and also and also IT services. He himself is a company owner, if I may put it that way. Yeah. And Toastmaster Ricky also was the past EPRM of Toastmasters International District 102. And now we have Toastmaster Brian. Toastmaster Brian, of course, is more familiar to our club. He is one of our club mentors. But a very lesser known about him is that he is also the current Pathways Mentoring Chair for this term. So give a round.
Thank you so much.
And Toastmaster Brian himself, outside of Toastmasters, he is also a leader of the organization called Prime Visionary Academy, which serves to develop and support young youths in their public speaking journey. As just now Toastmaster Yen shared, her son is actually one of the students at Brian's academy. Okay, so this is the background for these three panelists. Okay, so in no particular order, just share with us what do you guys think when the term ethical leadership comes to your mind. What comes to your mind when you heard of the term ethical leadership? Maybe Brian want to go first?
Yeah, sure. When it comes to the term ethical leadership itself, for me, in order for you to develop an organization, it is very important for you to have the right culture. First one is having the right culture so that the other people will be able to accept you. Second thing is to have a cultivating platform that are enough for those people to learn from, because a lot of people nowadays, it's kind of difficult for them to accept a leader who have lack of knowledge or even have insufficient of ability to somehow do the leadership. By having so, you're just having the right culture and having the right lesson learned to captivate these young leaders. That is also providing them more opportunity for them to grow in their leadership journey as well.
Okay, thank you, Brian, for your sharing. So, if I may sum it up, you are saying that the ethical leadership, when it comes to your mind, first of all, is the right culture, and also second of all, having the open knowledge
Correct.
to lead people. Okay, thank you. Yeah, panelist Ricky, do you want to add anything to?
Leadership is a big topic, and I don't feel I'm competent enough to discuss it. Some more, it is about ethical leadership, and I'm still learning.
Yeah.
But as a person who is good in maths, this is my formula. I feel like a so-called ethical leader is an individual who is ethical, plus he or she is a leader. And he or she is going to lead his or her team towards an ethical direction. And you might have heard that the managers do the things right and the leaders do the right things. And ethical leader may want to lead us to do the right things in the right way, in the right direction. That is my understanding.
Thank you for your sharing. So from Ricky, I guess we could say that his opinion is that a person first has to be ethical, and then he takes up a leadership position, then the ethical leadership naturally follows that person. Okay, thank you for your sharing. How about Sri? Do you have anything to add to this?
Yes, I will put something called C and C. A leader should have character before competence. You can't have a great character and zero competence, then you have no idea what to do. And you can't have somebody who's got great skills and great competence, but the character is a problem. I think one of the quotes says that if you find a leader who's very competent, but the character has a problem, stay away, because they are going downhill, if not now, sooner or later. And that defines ethical leadership, not just the ability, but also the character to rise and lead and make those decisions which are ethical, not just logical or correct. That's what I think.
Okay, right. Thank you for your sharing on what you think ethical leadership is. Well, let's go down a bit more into the more finer details. So, for ethical leadership, it's about character, it's about the person's ethics, and also it's about whether they are having the capability or the knowledge to lead. Now, what are some finer aspects of ethical leadership that you think a person should have while having a leadership role? Like it's a general element of leadership that an ethical leader should have. Yeah. Maybe Ricky, you want to start?
According to my mathematical formula, a person is first ethical, then he or she takes on the leadership role. So he or she should be ethical, regardless whether the person is leader or not, regardless whether people are watching or not, regardless whether there are rules or not. So he or she has a moral compass to guide him or her on the right behavior to do. And I think that is a foundation. And once you have this character and this moral compass, and once you have taken up a leadership role, I think things will develop. He or she will develop to become an ethical leader.
Thank you, Ricky. Brian, you want to add anything?
Yeah, to me, I have one experience itself when I gave an opportunity to a leader to actually lead a center. However, it was a chaos in the end of the day. Why is that? Because I gave him the keys, I gave him to become the captain of the ship. However, in that 4 months, he didn't prove me right. And it leaves me a decision whether I should give him a chance or I should just sack him. That's a decision that I will have to make for myself. And here I struggle. Whether am I going to look at him in a way in his positive side, or even look at him in a way by looking at his negative. And there's when I noticed I needed to make that decision, and it's quite difficult for me to make so. And finally, I have made that decision is to give him another chance to become a leader. But this time, I will not hesitate by setting the right KPI in order for him to fulfill. Because I always believe a leader itself will need to be consistent as well as disciplined in order for them to be exemplary in their leadership role. If not, how will you be able to lead the team around you? A leader itself must first become a good listener before even start teaching someone else. If he himself is able to develop that listening skills to understand his employees better, I believe that itself will be able to improve his KPI or even his performance even more for the center. So therefore, try your very best if you truly wanted to be a leader, be a good listener, stay disciplined and consistent, and that will bring you somewhere.
Thank you, Brian, for sharing. If I may be a bit more inquisitive, so you were saying that that person, you were still the overall organization leader, but you handed some roles for him to lead in.
Correct.
And he decided to not to perform his duties.
Yes, and sometimes it is very important when you hear it from someone else or someone from his team that his leadership ability somehow didn't meet up to the expectation. And there is when you need to understand, how am I supposed to make sure that I gave him the balance of power, and how am I supposed to make him meet his expectation? So by doing so, it is very important for us to first set the goal in the very beginning. Make sure that we are able to measure it in a smart manner. I believe everyone knows how to set a smart goal. Yeah. So that is one of those ways for you to determine whether he is performing. And of course, I will give him another opportunity. And if let's say he couldn't meet the expectation, I really have no choice but to make a harsh decision. Yes.
Okay. So you were saying that he didn't perform his role, then you give him another chance. So in your opinion, how do we know that whether that person should be given a second chance or that person really isn't suited for the role?
Sometimes you can give that person a second chance by looking at his past record. At his past record, when he is doing things individually, he's a performer. He's doing very well. He's an executor. By you taking up a leadership role or a management role, the perspective change. He needs to have that helicopter mindset. He needs to see things in a much more broader way. Cannot just work in silo, but he needs to work with the team. In order for you to get to understand the team better, you need to first understand them by getting to know their personality, be a good listener, and constantly monitor them to make sure they perform. And there is something that I would like to re-emphasize. In order for you to be the good leader, if you are not monitoring, you are doing an irresponsibility to your team.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian. Yeah.
Right.
So I guess from your story, we could say that a good leader also is a leader who is fair and gives people second chances. And not only that, a good leader also is very invested in his work. He basically has show passion, show interest in whatever he does, and he makes sure he does all his best to get the job done.
Interest is not the keyword, but I prefer obsession. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah.
Passionate.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
How about Sri? Sri, you were past district director.
Yes.
Just curious, like any ethical issues arise?
A lot.
So, any that you think is safe to share as a
That's a good point. Safe to share. Okay, this is what I felt. Of course, when you go in different positions, you see different things. And one of the things which I've learned is that sometimes when you are close to people and then you get a position, people think that it's okay to bypass certain things. It's a human nature, right? Come on, buddy, friend, go together. I'm sure you understand me, right? I'm sure. So that kind of compromising thing comes, and then it becomes challenging itself to say, yes, buddy, but nobody. All right. So I give you one simple example. Most of you understand that there's a club officer training. Okay. So let me take Ricky's example. The reason is because Ricky invited me to Toastmasters. Yeah, just to let you all know background. So I can always take his example. So let's say Ricky is a good friend of mine, and I'm giving a real scenario. It's just that it was not Ricky. So Ricky is a good friend of mine, and then he says, "Hey bro, I've been to club officer training so many times. I know what's gonna happen. I know. Is it okay instead of attending 4-5 hours, I'll come for first hour, I will sign attendance, then I will leave. Is it okay?" Now I know, yes, he knows. I know he understands. I know to the point that he can even train those topics. But the ethical part is that if somebody, a new person like Shirley or Mamad is attending and gets a credit after 5 hours, can he be excused after 1 hour? For what reason? I got other things to do. No emergency, no personal thing, nothing. I think because I know. So ethical part is that, no, you still have to sit for 5 hours, right? And that's a very hard decision because then your friendship is at stake. So this is what I told one of the friends. And the person for a moment got offended and said, okay, fine, I'll attend. But I know the reply didn't sound very nice. Right? It came out very like, I'm not okay with it. But later the person did attend, which is a good part because I'm like, if you don't attend, you will not get the credit. And the person like, I am doing it just for my club to get Super 7 and the district gift.
Oh.
Like, so it was not the DCB gold part. That is done. 4 people already attended. It was the extra gift of Super 7. I said, sure, as long as you attend, you get it. And the person was not happy because felt that I can just bypass the thing. I said, no. You have to attend the whole session, not just leave within 1 hour, something like that. So person did attend. So I felt it wasn't easy for me because known each other for a very long time, but have to do things like that. Because why? Because if you allow once time, it gets repeated. And then it reaches the stage where you don't know who's right and who's wrong. Am I right by allowing it, or you are wrong by taking advantage of the thing? Because then there is no boundary, because you already open the doors, or we call it, you open the can of worms. Then you wonder why there are worms, because you opened it up, right? So that is one of those things. And I know it happens every year, every time, with different groups and different people. And one of the word which I call it is called COI. COI, everybody knows ROI, right? Yeah, everybody is known, like all rich people. Return of interest. COI is an ethical leadership element. It's called cost of inaction. Exactly. Cost of inaction. If you see something wrong and do nothing about it, you're going to pay a big price one day. And a lot of other people are going to pay bigger price. So ethical leadership is what? Don't close one eye. Have an extra pair of eye if you have a buddy with you. So he or she doesn't say it's okay to bypass. So cost of inaction is very crucial. To take even action, if it's painful, hurtful, financially, relationship-wise, you still put a foot down and say, nope, not going to allow that. So that's what I think.
Okay, thank you for your sharing. See? Yeah. So you were talking about like the cost of inaction. So a lot of times, especially in private organizations, or even when we're working in our company, the temptation is there to be inaction, because sometimes you don't want to step on other people's foot.
Yep.
Sometimes you don't want to, like, let's say if the person that is breaking the rules or bending the rules is maybe your upline or your boss. So what are some suggestions or some things that you can advise to people who might be tempted or feel that they want to have a more stronger moral compass, so that they do not go into this inaction? Is there anything you can advise?
This is something I learned from John Maxwell, and when he mentioned that, I couldn't accept it, or I couldn't get the concept. It's called, if you need people, you cannot lead them. Okay? Let me escape this. Let me say Brian. Be fair enough, right? So if I need Brian for my project, for my work, for my personal growth, for my promotion, I am scared to lead him. You know why? It affects my performance now. But if I'm not dependent on him, I'm not helping out, I'm not depending fully on him for my growth, I have no fear to speak up. Then I can lead. Then I'm like, yep, no worries. You can reject. I'm not afraid anymore. They have extra courage. But if I need him and he needs me, I'm like, now I'm thinking, today I offend him, tomorrow he offend me. Today I cancel his claim, tomorrow he cancel my claim. Correct? That's what happened in organization work. Today, the one Shali say yes, sir, because finance background work. Today, I don't say this is not approved. Tomorrow, he or she will come up with something. Okay, you did for me, I'll do for you. But that's where it comes at to rise above level pride. That I need you, but not to the extent I'm going to compromise. If you have that part there, or I'm going to tolerate. If you reach that level, then you don't hesitate to lead. Because you're like, that is more important. Ethical part is more important than just getting things done. So that makes it easier. So no compromise and don't tolerate.
Thank you. Very sound advice, I believe. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of the audience would resonate that with you also. Now, as leaders, we not only practice ethical leadership, but we also want to influence other leaders to practice this ethical leadership. So, to any of you guys, what do you think that there are some of the things that we can do to influence others also to follow us to practice ethical leadership?
You answer?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I will not use Sri as an example.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
I think as a new leader myself, I think I'm still learning. And one thing I learned is to show an example. So I remember a few years ago, I was serving at the district PR, and then we were having poster competition for clubs to submit. And you all know posters, you need to comply to certain guidelines. And for those that are done by, approved by me or my team should also be compliant, right? Okay. And if I do not show an example and if I choose the wrong posters to put it up online, then I am not showing my own integrity.
Correct.
And that happened, and I learned from the lessons. So I learned that in order to influence other people to comply or to follow your leadership or whatever, or do certain things you want them to do, you yourself need to show an example first. I have done it, so that other people can follow me. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything you want to add to
Ryan?
influencing
Yeah,
others?
personally, when it comes to leadership itself, it almost have to start from you yourself being exemplary. Be inspired by Stephen Bartlett, The Diary of the CEO. If you all have somehow read his book before, The 33 Laws, the very first law itself that tells the 5 buckets. The 5 buckets itself, the first, they are telling you about knowledge. What kind of knowledge that you have developed? Second thing, once you have acquired that knowledge, you will have the skill for you to show it out and to earn the certain income from that skill. And after you have earned that skill, you will have the ability to somehow build your connection. People get to know you. People know you better after you have developed that skill or you have honed that skill. And after the persons have known you better, this is the 4th stage. The 4th stage itself, you will be able to have resources around you. You will start to have network, you will start to have asset, even it could be tangible or it could be non-tangible. Those are the things that you will gain when it comes to resources. And the 5th and the final one is reputation. You will gain certain fame and reputation. With these 5 buckets itself, it's just like your learning journey from every single one of you. Ever since you've grown up, you are in school, you are developing certain knowledge. Then you acquire that skill when you are in your career, pursuing something further. When you have that skill, people know your skill and you try to enhance it, you hone it. And there is when you'll be able to gain connection and you know people around you. And the last one, which is resources. Resources is what going to brings you around by having connection, asset, whether it's a tangible or non-tangible, and last but not least, reputation. By developing these 5 buckets itself, you will give the person some examples on how are you supposed to develop yourself, enhance your character, and become a true leader by being exemplary. You're not solely reliant on someone, like just what Sri have said. You can be independent, you can be dependable, instead of like relying on someone else. And by honing these 5 buckets itself, filling up the buckets, it will definitely make you an exemplary leader.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah.
So overall is we have to set into events like this, we have to set ourselves an example first. And in order to set an example, we first have to work on ourselves and to develop ourselves so that we do not need to rely on others. Okay. Yeah. So thank you to the three of you. Because the time is a bit running short, we will open the floor for some questions from the audience. I think some of the audience have listened throughout. They may have some questions from the audience. Any of you want to ask any questions about leadership? Yes, Wing Shen.
Dear panelists, I have a question. So, if you found out that one of the leaders has done unethical stuff, like maybe bribery, restaurant, how do you do it?
Anyone have the experience?
Yeah. Okay. First of all, to make it ground clear, unethical leadership doesn't mean they have not made mistakes. It means they accept and they own the mistakes. It doesn't mean they are perfect and they have never done mistake all their lives. It's never like that. Nobody's there. They have grown, they have learned, they accepted, and they have left the past and they have moved on. Right? So if it is first time like that, the official answer is whistleblower. Somebody has to put a complaint to the right department and say, this is not right, please investigate. The good part is what? In most of the countries, whistleblower has something called whistleblower protection, which means your name will be anonymous. Nobody will find out unless it's a too small company. Then look at each other. Who else? Then you are in trouble. Look at 2-3 people. One look you already know. I mean, it's a big company, makes it easier because there's a people, there's protocols and everything, and that will protect. Second thing, do you really want to do that? I'll tell you why. If the person at that level is unethical, do you really want to be in that company? On a long-term basis. Why? Chances are the person is going to escape one day anyway. Do you really still, knowing that that is the leadership of the team or that is the top management, do you still want to be in that organization? Because why? If at that level, right, is corrupted, in management, leadership is opposite. If the root is corrupted, don't expect good fruits. Right? Leadership is the foundation of it, right? The top management is the root. Okay. So if that is corrupted, do you really want to pluck fruits from that tree or sit in the shade for too long? I would say try, but if you can move away, hey, fine. Fine. If it's really big thing, go ahead and complain. But yeah, but like I said, inaction. If you don't do anything, it's gonna grow. So do something, but be willing to lose your job. That's a fact. I've seen that, done that, been there.
Yeah, thank you for your answer for Ying Xuan. And anyone else want to ask any questions?
Maybe I have some simple questions here. Yeah. Alright, so dear panelists, and this question is for you. Let's say for perspective for those that really want to start up a company, right? Entrepreneur and that, and probably this is very important, right? So what kind of advice do you personally know, or like piece of advice you want to tell them, especially these kind of people, they want to venture something new, probably these are the issues that you may face, right? So what's the thought on that?
Alfred may not want to hear from me.
Conflict of interest.
Yes,
Conflict of interest.
Ricky, over to you.
I think today's theme is about ethical leadership. So we need to relate back to ethics.
Yes.
So when you're ethical, you believe in what you are doing. So as a leader in that particular startup, you believe in your vision, in your goal, in what you can serve other people, the marketplace and so on. And just go with it, go on with it together with the team. The integrity is very important. Don't compromise against your principle just because your investors say, can you do it this way? I'll give you more money. If that is against your ethical guideline. This is what I feel. And not only he himself personally, but he also needs to lead the whole team to do the same, stick to the moral compass. Thank you.
I'll add something there. I'm an entrepreneur. I have business. I deal with people locally, internationally. One of the things I have learned is you do not want to have a partner. You do not want to work with people who do not have the same values. Because When everything is going good, yay. When problems come, issues come, conflicts come, crises come, that's where the real value comes out. Do you strongly believe in honesty? I mean, we are making laws. One bribe, good project, why not? One time only, right? One little bit shortcut. Sometimes people find not bribes, they find loopholes. And people are like, loopholes is legal. I know loophole is legal legally, not appropriate by moral compass, as Ricky mentioned, right? So if I do not want to bypass, does my business partner or my vendor or supplier, are they those people who will bypass or find a loophole to get things done? And in corporate world, they're saying, don't get into the bed with someone you don't want to live lifelong. Right? So don't get into the partnership. Why? Because that will haunt your business, reputation, everything. Especially for entrepreneurs, your foundation will be very weak. So get into people who have same values, those who are like, this is no and this is yes, whatever happens. And then you will be a good one.
Sometimes
Right.
they find out only 3 years later.
Well, that's why divorce is important in business. Well, sometimes, right? I mean, if you remember the Mark Zuckerberg and his partner, they different direction. One wanted money, one just was passionate.
Yeah, that happens
Right?
with Amazon as
It
well.
happens. It happened with the Amazon, a Spotify owner, Elon Musk and the people and all these things and all. Again, see, if I have certain value, doesn't mean you have a wrong value. It's just that I believe in different things. Spotify guy started Spotify because he wanted to get free music. But his team was like very hard. He's like, he invested everything he had to build Spotify just to get few music, free and started with few all the stuff and all. He built it up the whole thing. Now he had good CEO managers and all who said we have to get it paid, and he was mad at them. But then he said, okay, let's do one thing: free with ads, premium no ads. Fair enough. So he's like, fine. At least you still get free with a little bit of noise. So he compromised that part of it, right? It's on Netflix, a series called The Founder or something like that. And so that's a good one. At least he's like, but he stood his ground that I want to give free music to all the people. So that was his value. And he did that. And he changed the industry of music today. And he got the right people who invested him. He didn't have that much money. He had a bigger investor who believed in the value. So in entrepreneurship, that's there, right? So if for other person money was more important, he would have walked off long time ago. No Spotify.
Thank you, Sri.
So I thought, yeah.
Thank you for your insights. I think because time is running short, we will end the question and answer session here. If any of you still have anything to ask our panelists about leadership, ethical leadership, you can do so after the meeting, or if some of them might want to leave early, you can also ask them in the WhatsApp, and you can get the contact from me later. Okay, so overall, I think I would summarize this whole panel discussion as there are some things that we can use to build our own ethical leadership framework, where the panelists have already shared, which one of it is, of course, to be steadfast in what you believe in, although it may cost you, and also don't be inaction, don't be passive. If there's something that you need to do, although it may cost you, you need to do it. And from Ricky, from his sharing, he shared how we can influence other people by showing an example, by first being ourselves an ethical leader. And to be an ethical leader, we first have to be ourselves an ethical person. And from Brian, he also shared about how, as a leader, he is fair to his people under him, and when he sees there's a need to give second chances, he gives second chances to people, and he gives people room to grow. Okay, so thank you very much to our three panelists, and thank you for your time.
Yeah.
So that concludes our panel discussion for the day. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Han. Let's give it a big round of applause. And also, all together, the panelists